Hey you guys, I just wanted to do a quick video covering why I stopped striping my lawn. Now, one of the things I noticed when I was inspecting my lawn one day was that I had a lot of grass that was laying over top of itself in some various areas. And as I lifted, I found some dead patches underneath, and I found a lot of grubs inside webworms that I knew I had to get rid of. But the only thing was the grass was so thick and so tall that I had to go about taking my rake and lifting it all in the opposite direction so that way when I cut it, it was even. Had some areas that were like 3.5 inches high and other areas that were as high as like 9 and 10 inches, just from being laid over top of itself each time because it was so thick it wasn't getting lifted. Now this hid, as you can see me here pulling some weeds, this hid some of these areas where weeds were growing underneath there. Some crabgrass and other things, so some broadleaf weeds. So I would go through. Literally, this took me about 2.5 days to go through and rake each of my stripes back into the opposite direction so that everything was being lifted and stood up tall, almost like when you pick an afro before you get it cut and trimmed all the loose edges. So I went through and had to go through the whole yard to do this to make sure everything was nice and even. So one of the big keys I learned from doing this is if you're going to stripe, you got to definitely make sure you go about doing it in opposite, on perpendicular patterns and directions every time, or even throw some diagonal in there as well too. Also, you should, or I need to start changing my cutting height. Usually, what I do is around 3 3/4 inches high, and I know that sometimes I need to take it down in order to get some of those long pieces that are laid over that aren't getting lifted down to about 3 1/4, and then let that grow out to about 4, maybe 4.5 inches high, and then cut it from there. But this is something I learned out of it, and so I figured it can definitely help you guys when you're out there trying to make your lawn as best as you can, as best as you can make it. So learn from me. Don't have to put in as much of the sweat equity going out and raking your lawn in the opposite direction. That's the last thing you want to do. And actually, what I just noticed here, I did this area twice. Dumb move on my part. So I went in the proper direction, then I did backwards again there. But as always, see, I'm always inspecting, always finding a few weeds here and there, pull them up, get rid of them when you see them. That's number one thing. And I did all of this so that way when I put down the granules of the pesticide that I was using to get rid of the bugs, so that way I know it could get down into the soil because I knew it needed to be watered in. Couldn't just put it down onto the soil and then just, hope for the best. It needed to be watered in. All right. And so one of the big keys, make sure you keep your grass nice and even. Part of this was because I'm sure my blades weren't as sharp as they could be the whole time as well too. I would always get some stragglers in between there, so keep your blades sharp and make sure you're cutting your grass nice and even. Go in perpendicular directions. That'll help you a ton. All right, well that's it. This is Thomas Strong from StrongerLawns.com. Take care.